So this game is called Gibberish, and it's based on an improvisation activity in the Upright Citizens Brigade and Del Close and many of those other outlets that you might have seen in big cities around the continental United States. Typically what I do is I write the word gibberish on the board. I typically elicit feedback from the students and ask them what this means. Typically they don't know, so I try to explain it as simply as I possibly can, either saying something like fake language or made up language. I mean, if they're really low level, I will actually demonstrate for the students what gibberish is. And I will give you an example right now. This is my example of gibberish. Malakasutu chipikita monokolovajiki zebata. Now, when you do this, you really want to make sure your gibberish is varied and not sort of flat and monotonous, like saying something like Malaka Malaka, Malaka Malaka, Malaka Malaka, Malaka Malaka. And that's spelled M-A-L-A-K-A, M-A-L-A-K-A. You don't want to make it flat. You want to vary the intonation. You want to vary the sounds you're making, the intonation, the vowels, and so on and so forth. This is because you're going to get the students to try to be as expressive as they possibly can. Now, if they're from one of the Asian countries and they're learning English, then doing this is going to be absolutely critical for them because a lot of their language, such as Japanese, is very flat and doesn't have a lot of the undulation patterns of English. So it is very important to make sure you model your gibberish to make it as dynamic and colorful as you possibly can. So when I do this activity, I ask the students what gibberish is, and typically they don't know. And then I model gibberish for them. And then I call on two students to come to the front of the class, and they can stand behind podiums as you see here, or they can stand behind desks, but they have to be standing and they have to be in front of the class. And I basically set up the scenario of these two students representing a country from wherever, and they have to speak on behalf of their country or behalf of their planet. You could do interstellar communication. And I will set it up so that one student is speaking gibberish and does not have command of the English language, and another student is going to translate for them without actually knowing what the student who is speaking gibberish is actually saying. Now, this makes some pretty interesting and sometimes very funny demonstrations of English, but it's a really good activity to perform in EFL classes because A, it gets students relaxed and it kind of opens them up and makes them feel more flexible if they are the kind of students that are outgoing. Again, you might not be able to do this with non-outgoing students, but for those who are outgoing, this typically makes students feel more relaxed in a very ironic way. So the students, will come up with some funny examples, but it's another good reason why you give this activity is because it allows students to explore speaking English and to kind of expand on what they know and just to try to work with the language as much as they possibly can. And it also promotes thinking in the target language, which is English. So that's primarily why I like this activity. This activity can go on for 2 to 5 minutes. It can go on for 15 minutes. I don't typically make this a very long activity because it will actually get very draining very quickly and it gets monotonous. But this activity can be very good for the beginning or the end of the class and ranging from around 5 or 3 minutes. That should be sufficient enough. Thanks so much. Bye.